Okay, so now that you've got your class notebook set up, there's some differences between the online version of OneNote and the desktop version of OneNote. So first of all, in the online version, you can see that you're online because you're in the web browser here. The home space gives you everything that you need to know for your class notebook. I've got everything laid out here on the left-hand side. You can see I've got my collaboration, content library, and individual student pages. Insert allows me to insert a few different objects, math symbols, emojis. There's forms addition that we'll talk about in a little bit. I can add audio to a specific page, a link to a website, pictures, files, so that's pretty basic. You can use the pen tool online to draw. So if you used the whiteboard feature, or you wanted to draw, let's say, a little sketch on a student page, you could use the draw feature here with your mouse. View just allows you to view different things about the page. Immersive Reader allows you to you or your students to have it read to you, so that's a really good feature. The page color you can fiddle with, so there's a few things here that's worth looking at. The one I would like to kind of focus on is a class notebook tab. There's a distribute page option where you can share different parts of the notebook to your students, which we'll explain more later. You do the same thing with distributing a section. You can copy an entire page or an entire tab to the content library, which is really handy. You can review student work, which is a nice feature. You can actually go through and check off which students have done what in what section. More on that later. There's more options here to create a new class notebook. Here we can add or remove students. Here we can add or remove teachers. So actually I'm going to add a teacher at this point. So it says, which class notebook would you like to add a teacher to? Well, it's this one here that I just created. And I'm actually going to add a new teacher here. Start typing. That's who I want to add. I click next. That's who I want to add in there. Yeah, click update. And now that teacher will see this notebook in their OneNote area of OneDrive or in their class notebook area online. So I can go back up here. I can go open OneNote online. And you can see it's right back here. Nothing seems to have changed except the fact that I now had another teacher added. If I go back to the class notebook tab, there is another part here that's called manage notebooks, which I want to focus on, and I'll get back to that in a minute. There's some connections here. Haven't played too much with that, so I don't know what's in there, but I'm sure that's going to be helpful when mapping class notebooks. But there is a really cool area here too called professional development. This Microsoft educator community, I'd highly recommend getting into that and taking a look further. There's an entire website dedicated to class notebook and OneNotebook. Really, really helpful. There's some there's a OneNote education blog if you'd like to chime into that and check out what people are doing there. Helpful links, and then a toolbar guide if you'd like to get like a little printout, a little information on what that looks like. So let's focus on the managed notebooks here. There's some features in here that are worthwhile noting. It'll open you up in the brand new window browser. Here I can add or remove sections. So if I wasn't so sure that I wanted class notes and handouts, I can actually go into the pencil and just type in class notes and handouts in one. And I'm not worried about having two. And then I can just go ahead and click on this one as well if I want. And I should be able to delete that. I'm going to change this actually to I'm going to call it my ideas, because the individual students are going to see that. I click save when I'm done. And now all the student sections are renaming to be that. This space here, enable teacher only selection group, is a really important or key feature for you to use here. If you click enable teacher only section, what that enables you to do is have a section of your notebook where only the teachers invited into the notebook and the creator, so me and the teacher I just created, invited to, we have a teacher section here that we're the only ones that can see, so our students don't actually see that, which is really helpful if we want to be creating a page or creating content without the students seeing it right off the bat. I can manage the collaboration space permissions. So if I have individual groups that I'd like to access individual parts of the collaboration space, I can decide what I want them to see. So right now I can decide that I don't want this student or this student to see, and just this one in this group to see that specific tab. I can also, in the collaboration space, from here, I can add a new section if I'd like, and I can name it whatever I would like inside, and I can choose which students can see what. So if I only want this red group to see it, these first two students are in the red group, but this student is not. Okay. I also have the option to give read-only access to all students in the class, even if they're not in the group. This could be a nice option if you want them to be able to see it but never edit it. If I create this in the collaboration space, that means that these two students can collaborate in the red group, but this last student cannot. So I'm going to click Create. So now it says here that I'm using the collaboration space. All of my students can use that, but only 2 students can access the red group. This is really handy when you want to differentiate content in the collaboration space. Let's say you only want certain students working in certain collaboration spaces. This is where you can manage those permissions. I could also share with parents individual student pages. So I want to share this student and their pages to their parents, and that's going to be their student notebook that's selected right now. I can just click Get Link, and then I can email that copy to the parent. I can also click Remove Access, which now I'm taken away and they won't have a link to use. If I want to share the whole content library with parents, I can just click Get Link, and then I can copy it. And when I'm ready to remove access, I can remove access to that, and parents no longer have a copy. So it's a really neat way to share the whole library or just the student notebooks with individual parents. And if I want to have a link of just my whole notebook, I can click on the copy notebook, and now it's ready to be saved through an email. So that's the online settings that you can do for the web browser version of Class Notebook. The desktop version gives you pretty much the same functionality, except a little bit more flexibility. So if we just look at the Home tab by itself, there's going to be a few more font options, a few more coloring options, different header options. I can choose a dictation language, which is similar to Immersive Reader, but this will dictate the content in there for me. I don't know of all the languages that are available, but you could certainly look at it. If you go into the insert fields, much the same, but you can choose online video here. There's the equation, the math, the stickers, that's all still there, and there's forms there as well. So not too different, but you do get the online video option. Drawing gives you the same features as well, but there's also a shapes and an ink to shape. So I can actually draw a shape and it'll guess which one I'm trying to do. And then I can also, quick circles, I can also just take the shape and I can draw it as normal. But the ink to shape, it's kind of neat because you just have to just draw it. Same with ink to text. I can say A, B, C. Whoops, that's ink to shape. Let me try that again. I guess it doesn't want to do it. Never mind. Okay, so that was just the ink to shape again. And then we do have a math feature here as well that you can turn math on or off, and you can actually get your equations in there. So you can write your equation, select your equation, and then tap the math button, and it'll actually flip it into an actual equation that looks right. The view option gives us a few more options as well. I still get Immersive Reader. I can zoom in and out a little bit more to get a full view of my page, which is helpful sometimes because you want to see how far down or how far big it gets. And then when I'm ready, I can just go back to 100. I can change the page color if I'd like a little bit, give it a different color. I can also add in here rule lines. So I really want to make it look like paper. When students give answers, you can put the aligned paper in there, give it the real back to school look. I can also add grid paper if I'd like, which is sometimes helpful if they're drawing in the math. I do have the option to see deleted notes as well. So for this one, I can view any deleted notes that students have deleted, or I can empty the deleted notes. Those might be useful if you're in a collaboration space and see what some people have deleted before. There's a translate button as well. I can check accessibility to make sure it's accessible to all users. There's a replay button. I'm not sure what the replay button does, but it's worth playing with. Drag and select to an area you want to replay. Replay everything on the page. So there you go. You can use the replay button to use as kind of like a little immersive video. There's me drawing and there's me writing. So that's kind of a neat little option. And you just press the replay button on the bottom there. Okay, and they can replay the whole thing. That would be useful if you're doing a math lesson, let's say, or a writing lesson where they wanted to show it in sequence. Because sometimes if you get a whole page like this and students are loading it in, they may not see the order of things that went on. So the replay button could be really useful when teaching a lesson. And I can also hide the authors. I can show who wrote what, or I can just ignore that and leave it as a hide. Hiding the authors is good if you just have one author, but if you have many authors on a page, having the ability to see who wrote what is sometimes very, very useful. So that's the difference on the View tab. Class Notebook tab doesn't look too different either. You still have the distribute pages, the copy to content library. However, up here I can create an assignment. So if I create an assignment here, it's going to ask me probably where I want to, oh, please connect to an LMS. That because it wants to connect to a learning management system. So this is where PowerSchool can be used directly with Class Notebook. I can create an assignment right here and then it'll go right into Class Notebook. And notice how the option now disappeared because I'm not connected to PowerSchool. That's interesting. Create another class notebook again, manage the notebook like we said, manage the classes. That's gone because I'm not connected to a learning management system. Professional library, and those features are all there. So many of the same functionalities as in the online version, but also some more flexibility that you can use with the desktop version. I personally prefer the desktop version. Number one reason is because I like to go into settings. I like to choose dark because I really like the dark setting. That's it for the first rundown of what these tabs do.